right. Welcome, everyone. The camera is not focusing on me at all. All right, it'll work itself out. So, how is everyone's morning? Well, today we're going to learn, particularly how to use while loops with processing JS. Basically, how to draw multiple things, with while loops. So that is what we're doing today. The camera is having a lot of trouble focusing on me. All right, let's go ahead and we can all jump on replit as usual. There we go. And we'll grab on to create, type in the template HTML, click on HTML, CSS, JS, and click create REPL. All right, give me one moment. I'm trying to find my old replit. There it is. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is in the script tag right here on line 13, this script src equals script.js. Not this one down here, but the one up top. Go ahead and just delete that entire line. We'll be replacing it with something else. Just delete that entire script line. And then I'm going to paste a bunch of code into chat. And you will, oh, my dog just opened the door. All right, you copy the code I pasted in chat and then paste it in your body. Right here. And that should completely set up processing JS. It looks like my camera problem was because it wasn't in the middle of the screen. There we go. All right, and when you have the code pasted in, give me a done in chat. All right. All right, and to the new person, real quick, all we've done is deleted the initial script tag and then pasted in this code here that I have put in the chat. All that code. That's just for setting up processing JS so that we can use it. And now, when we go to our script.js, a different file here, we'll go ahead and type like before. We'll type void space setup, void space setup, void space setup, void space setup. Left parenthesis, don't use it, left curly brace, enter, making a function like always. And then inside the setup function, we'll write size, size, left parenthesis, and then 400 comma 400. And one thing I will add, from now on, we should be adding semicolons at the end of our coding lines. Don't need for every line, but when I say a semicolon, you should probably add it. You don't need it for this line, but good to get a habit of it. All right, and then we'll do a couple new lines here after setup, and we'll do void draw void space draw left parenthesis left curly brace enter. And now when we click the run button, we should get a big gray box. And that means we have successfully set up processing JS. Sorry, my tongue's getting tied a bit. And go ahead and put a done in chat when you're done. All right. Now, what we're going to do today is a little bit different. Um, oh, sorry, my dog wants to be let out now. He spent all this work trying to get into the room, and now he wants to be let out. All right, so today we're going to be going into our draw function, and we're going to start by making a while loop. While, 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 and then we'll do left parenthesis, and what we'll do is say when x is less than 5, while x is less than 5, That is the condition for our while loop. Then we do left parenthesis, enter. And now before I move on from the while loop, I'll go ahead and go in the space between the two functions, and I'll write let x equals 0, semicolon. Just creating the variable here, I tend to create the variable afterwards because I'm unorganized. You should really create it first, but make sure to have the semicolon. So while x is less than 5, we're going to do ellipse, ELLIPSE, all inside the while function here, or the while loop. So make sure you got the curly braces right here. Make sure you're doing it in between the curly braces of the while loop. So ellipse, left parenthesis. And for the first number here, we're going to do x and then times, we'll go 50. There we go, x times 50. That is our first number. Basically, the x coordinate, or how far to the left or right the ellipse is, will be x times 50. And the next two numbers we don't really care about. Just do maybe, we'll go 100 and then 50 comma 50. There we go. Semicolon. And don't run it yet because you will get an infinite loop and that will be very scary. So make a no line inside the while loop. Make sure to be inside the while loop here and write x plus equals 1 and semicolon. And if we run this, there we go. I have drawn 5 circles. And I only wrote 1 line of code. Well, you could argue that I actually wrote 5 lines of code, so I technically did write 4 ellipses. But what we're doing here is, okay, let x equal 0. Now, while x is less than 5, and for the first time it is, x is less than 5, make an ellipse. And make the ellipse at 0 times 50, and 0 times 50 is 0, because anything multiplied by 50 is 0. So the first ellipse will be at 0, 100, 50, 50, and then add 1 to x. That's what the x plus 1 means. Add 1 to x. Go back up. 1 is less than 5, so make an ellipse at now 1 times 50, which is 50. Do it again. X is 3, 3 is less than 5. Make an ellipse at 3 times 50. Or no, I skipped 1. It should be 2 times 50 now, which would be 100. That is this ellipse right here. And then 3 times 50 is 150 right here. 4 times 50, 200 right here. And then x becomes 5, and x is, or 5 is not less than 5, so you stop. And we have made 5 ellipses. The main interesting thing here is that we are able to change the actual spacing between the ellipses, for one thing. Like in the multiplication here, I can write 100 instead of 50. And if I run that, I get spaced out circles. Or I can do maybe 75. a little less spaced out. And go ahead, I'm not sure I actually checked it. When you're done with this and you see the circles, go ahead and put it done in chat. Want to make sure I don't leave anyone behind. And if I ever do leave you behind, go ahead and just post in chat, I'm lost, and I'll come back and save you. All right, and before I move on, let's look at a slightly better way of doing this. Instead of multiplying by 50, why don't we just get rid of that multiplication there? Take out that. Just have x comma 100 comma 50 comma 50. And then in the while loop, we'll change it to x is less than 400. And here, we'll put x plus equals 50. Now, if I run that, oh, look at that. What I'm doing here is slightly more powerful, which is that I'm saying, okay, keep adding 50 to x, and every time you add 50, make a new circle at that spot. So make one at 0, make one at 50, make one at 100, 150, 200, and so forth. Until you get to 400. iWeGame says my circles are on top of each other. Try changing it to be a little more like this. The multiplication can be a little tough there. Or just make it a bigger number. Or if you do it like this, you get the spacing for you much easier. Because while the last one, we made 5 circles and then spaced them out, right? This one, we are making a circle every 50 pixels, no matter how many pixels there actually are. All right. Can anyone in chat tell me what will happen if I change this number here, x plus equals 50, if I changed it to 5, what will happen? If you want, you can even try it out, run it, and then tell me what happens in chat. That's right, there are many circles on top of each other. And let me run it. There we go. Oh, a bunch of circles on top of each other, all across the line there. And that is because we're only adding 5 each time. We're just moving the ellipse a little bit to the right and then making a new one there, making a new one there. And we end up making a lot of ellipses. Now, can anyone tell me how many circles will we see if I change this to 100? X plus equals 100. You can try it if you'd like. And tell me in chat how many circles you see when x plus equals 100. Oh, Magic is saying 0. Not a number I expected, but iWeGame says 4. All right, let me run it here, and I see, yep, there are going to be 4 circles. Magic, if you're seeing 0, you might have done something wrong, I will say. Um, maybe you put 1,000 by accident. You should still see 1 there, though. But yeah, what's happening is that, okay, x equals 0, you make the first one, and notice how it's kind of like half made, because processing JS will draw the circle from the middle. So it put it at the x, where the x is right in the middle of the circle. It doesn't care how big the circle actually is. It just starts it right in the middle of the circle. So when x equals 0, you have only but a half circle here because the other half is hidden outside of the canvas. But the next one will be 100 pixels away, and then another, and another. And notice, if you count it out here, we have x equals 0, the first one, x equals 100, the second one, x equals 300, the third one, or no, x equals 200, the third one. I keep forgetting 2 for some reason. So the third one is where x equals 200. The fourth one is where x equals 300. And when x equals 400, nothing is going to draw because 400 is not less than 400. It is equal to 400. In fact, if I change this to greater, less than, or equal to, I can do it just by having another equal sign here, less than or equal to. And I run that. Well, I expected to get another circle. Oh, I do. I didn't see it at first. Here, if I show it here, I have 5 circles now. All right, now let's go ahead and first thing I'm going to do is just make this a little bit more interesting to look at. I will go ahead and fill the ellipse. I'll make it nice big red. There you go, now they're very red. That's just with fill, left parenthesis, 255, comma 0, comma 0. Just made it red. And I'll add a background outside the while loop. Make sure to add the background outside the while loop, or you get weird stuff. Here we go, background, and then that's BACKGROUND, left parenthesis. And I'll make the background, let's do a little bit different from normal. I'll do 0, comma 200, comma 200. I wonder what I'm going to get. I'll make sure to add a semicolon. Oh, did I break something? I broke something. Oh, no, never mind. Oh, I'm getting weird behavior there. Okay, don't, All right, go ahead and do what I did. This will be an interesting learning purpose. Go ahead and do what I did and see if you can get this error where either nothing will show up for a bit and or you get like a flash of the dots and then they disappear. And go ahead and say it doesn't work. Or no, just say done if you're done. If you successfully get a weird bug, say done. And yeah, I saw the circles flash for a second, and that is an interesting thing about the draw function, because I semi-mistakenly put all this code inside the draw function. And if you remember from last class, the draw function will run the code in it like 30 times a second, right? 30 frames per second is a general thing for processing JS, and that means it will make a frame or draw all the code you've written 30 times in 1 second. Which means that this while loop is running 30 times a second, and so is this background. And JavaScript has a weird method of, okay, big word here, synchronicity. That means that if one thing is running, like for example, a while loop making 4 circles, it will go ahead and go do something else if, say, the draw function is calling that code, 30 times. So you get weird behavior like the background being drawn on top of the circles while the while loop is still trying to draw it. Like the while loop hasn't finished yet, and another draw function has been called that is drawing a background. That's why you see it for only like a second before the next draw function occurs, and it draws the background before drawing the while loop, before drawing the circles. It's okay if you didn't completely understand that. Just know that if you're using while loops, it's probably a good idea to, I'm going to go ahead and copy my code inside the draw function and delete it. No more code in the draw function, and I'm going to paste it right below the x variable here, just like that. And now, if I run it, I did all that explaining, and now I'm realizing maybe I didn't understand it myself because I'm still getting it. Give me one moment. Why? Oh. What? Forgive me, I have drastically confused myself. Don't do anything. Don't do any code I'm doing here. Don't write anything I'm doing. I am figuring out what I did wrong. What I said before was still true, but maybe I did something else wrong here. Okay, so let me go back here. I figured out what I did wrong. Okay, so your code like this. Okay, like it was before. Go ahead and take just the while loop and not the background. Just the while loop. Copy it, delete it, and put that back into the draw function. And you're going to need to like add some spaces here to fix that up. My apologies. And the main thing is that instead of taking the while loop and moving it out of the draw function, keep the while loop in the draw function and just keep the background outside of the draw function. And now everything works like intended. My apologies. And yes, once you are done and you have it working, go ahead and put a done in chat. And if it's not working, put a not working in chat. All right, good. All right, next thing I'm going to do here. And if you don't have this working or you're still typing code, go ahead and just tell me in chat so I can give you more time. But next thing I'm going to do is I would like to not only have this row of circles, I would also like to have the entire screen with rows of circles. So I would like maybe like a checkered pattern of like a bunch of circles ordered all over the screen. Maybe I could say rows and columns, or like 5 rows of circles. And to do that, what I'm going to do is, let's see here. All right, to do this, I'm actually going to go ahead and, just for the sake of not having a lot of confusion, I'm going to delete the while loop. Just delete the whole while loop because I don't want to have confusion because I'm going to be like changing bits of code. So I'm deleting the whole thing. And so if you weren't able to get it working, this is a good chance because I deleted the entire thing in the draw function anyways. So it's fine. But what I'm going to do now is make another variable back up here, right under the let x. I'm going to say let y equal 0. A new variable here, y. I can name these variables whatever I want, but for programming, you tend to use x and y. Or, you know what? Let's use I and j. I'm going to change them. I and j. Those are actually for making loops. The best thing to do is to use I and j. That's what most people use. So we just have let I equal 0, semicolon, and let j equal 0, semicolon. Now, we're going to write while, left parenthesis, I is less than 400, like before. Left curly brace here. And now inside the while loop, we're just going to add I plus equals 100 and leaving a new line here for us to write stuff. Oh, and actually, let's go ahead and do I is less than or equal to. Less than or equal to here, just a less than sign and an equal sign. So to reiterate, in case I made anything unclear, it's just y, parentheses, I is less than or equal to 400. And then in the while loop, we just have that I plus equals 400. And now, instead of writing an ellipse or anything, I'm just going to write while I'm making a loop inside a loop here, while left parenthesis, j is less than or equal to 400. Make sure to use a different variable here, j. I'm going to do curly braces. And here's where it's important to make sure you have like this indentation or these spaces, and like make sure you keep track of your curly braces because it's going to get a little confusing. We're in a function, in a while loop, in a while loop. So while j is less than or equal to 400, we're also going to say j plus equals 100. Making sure to add a new line right there. And finally, right after the while loop, but before we say j plus equals 100, we're going to write ellipse, 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 left, parenthesis, I, comma, j, comma, 50, comma 50. This is probably the most complicated piece of code we have written in any class I've done. This is called nested loops, which means a loop inside a loop. Like those Russian nesting dolls, you know, we have one doll inside another doll. This is a nested loop. And, you know, technically, you can make another loop inside here. Like you can just keep making loops. And let me show you what it does. When I run it, I am not getting the intended thing. Why is that? Give me 1 second here. Because, okay, first one, 0, 0, then. Huh. All right, so good learning opportunity here. What this should be doing is making rows and columns of circles. Because here's what's happening, okay? I is 0. On that first time when I is 0, we now have another loop that says j is 0. And then we make an ellipse at 0, 0, 50, 50. We see that one right here. Now, before we go and like add 100 to I, we just add 100 to j and start at the beginning of this loop. In fact, is there a way? Looks like I can't do it in replit. Never mind. We go back right here. Okay, j is 100 now. So make an ellipse at 0, 100, 50, 50. And it's this one right here. Now, j plus equals 100. Add 100 to j. J is now 300. Making an ellipse at 0, 300. This guy. 200, then 300, and just keep doing this until j is equal to 400, making an ellipse at 0, 400. Add 100 to j. J is now 500, and so we stop. And now we should go off of that while loop, add 100 to I, and start at the beginning. 100 is less than 400. And so we start the whole while loop over again. J is 0, 100. But this time, we draw all those circles where I is now 100. So we draw the first circle at 100, 0, then 100, 100, 100, 200. Just keep going. This idea in like higher level math is called a matrix. My question is, Why isn't it working? And so what I'm going to do is inside the J while loop, or actually before I go, let me just make sure I'm not leaving anyone behind. Go ahead, and when you're done writing this and you see only like this one column here of circles, yeah, Andrew's got it. Put that in chat. And while people are writing code, anyone have any questions about the weirdness I just explained? And if you are confused, it's okay. Um, I'll explain better as we go on and you kind of see what's going on. All right, I'm going to go ahead and move forward here. And if you ever have any troubles, you can just copy your code and like paste it into chat, and then I can take a look at it and see what could be wrong. But for now, there's something we know is wrong, which is why if you follow along here, I am going to add on this line here console.log, CONSOLE period LOG, left parenthesis. And this is where the console.log should be being used, which is for finding errors. More importantly, figuring out what values are what. For example, my problem here is that I don't understand why there aren't more eyes, more circles. And the root of that is that I'm not following like where the I and J's are being added. So I'm going to go ahead and in my console.log, I'll add I, comma J. This will log to me what I and J are every time that this line of code is run. I realize now that because of the draw function, this is going to end up running a lot. But to be sure, let me run it. Oh, I don't have my... Oh, iBegame, you have no circles, huh? Go ahead and paste your code in chat if you don't mind. Huh, your code looks good. Make sure you aren't like a little to the right here. Like if you can scroll back and forth because the canvas is a little big. So make sure like you aren't not seeing your circles. If you need to, there's open a new tab button. There's 4 buttons here. The second to the last one is open a new tab, and then you can see like your whole thing. Make sure you do see your circles because your code looks exactly like mine. Yeah, you're saying it works on the website. I would say it might be a perspective thing. Like you see, I can scroll here. It might be that. Like you're not actually seeing the circles because the canvas is a little too big. If it's working the website, it should be good. Sorry, give me one moment here. All right, now, if I can figure out how to open my console, I could, let me see, Markdown? No. There we go. Okay, so let me look at my console here. Now that I have this console.log, I and j, I can get my console by this little like wrench tool right here next to the open new tab. I have a little toggle developer tools. I have my console, so I see, okay, first iteration, I have 0, 0, then 0, 100. So I0, j is 100. Next one, I0, j is 200. I0, j is 300. I0, j is 400. And then it stops, which it shouldn't be doing. And I have no idea why. Okay, but what we're seeing here is actually like we expect, given what we're seeing. Um, the entire while loop runs, adding 100 to j every time until j is 500, and then it stops, right? No more. And then instead of adding 100 to I and going back to the beginning, it just stops. Um, well, one thing I'm going to do to try to help figure this out is I'm going to delete this console.log, and right after the I, this I plus equals 100 at the very end, I'll add another console.log, and I'll just console.log I. I know this isn't the most riveting coding, but it's good to learn this kind of process of debugging. So I'm just going to take you through this. Oh, and that is fascinating. I actually is going up. So I is going up, but the while loop isn't running again? I bet you this is some weird draw function stuff. Hmm. Yeah, sorry for the confusingness of this class. I swear this would be much less confusing if it wasn't also not working. All right, give me 1 second here. And yeah, Katie's saying it is okay to be confused. That means you're learning something. And here we're learning a very important lesson, which is that maybe don't do nested loops in a draw function. Maybe you get weird behavior. Okay, but give me 1 second. I'm going to test something out on another screen because I don't want to confuse anybody. Huh. Well, that is interesting. Oh, I know what's wrong. Shoot. I figured it out, guys. Okay. Um, Let me see here. Give me one more minute. Okay. Here's the problem. We just need to add one line here. We need to take out this let j equal 0. Remove that. Obviously, we can't run it right now because that would break things, but just take out that one line. And then I'm going to add another line here outside of the second while loop, but inside the first one. And I'm just going to add let j equals 0, semicolon. Make sure to add this into the first one, but outside the second one should be like on line 12. I just add a new line there. Gonna run it, and now it works. In fact, I can show you here. There we go. We got a polka dotted background and it looks beautiful. All right, go ahead, try that out, and tell me when you're done. And that will be the final code we write this session. So just make sure to get this part here done. And tell me when you're done. Good job. And while you guys write, I'll explain what is going on here. Yeah, good job, Zavola. Oh, and if you ever have any troubles, go ahead and just paste your code or like copy it like this. Control C and then paste it in chat. And I can see what's wrong. Or just like say it's not working and then I'll like let you share a screen, or plenty of ways I can help you fix code. But let me tell you what we were doing wrong. And this has to do with an interesting thing. So let's imagine real quick that we still had that let j equals 0 outside the draw function. While we're doing our second while loop, okay, j plus 100, j is now 100. We draw this circle. J is 200. We draw the next circle right at ellipse 0, 200. J is 300, draw the next one. J is 400, draw the next one. And then we stop because 500 is not less than 400. And now we add 100 to I. We go back up. I is 100. 100 is less than 400. Now we check. Okay, while j is less than or equal to 400. But what is j? J is still 500, right? J was up here, and it was still 500. We had never changed it. So what we're doing here is we're just saying, okay, this is actually a tad different. We're not just saying j is 0. We actually are just creating a whole new variable here. Same principle. Um, we're just setting j back to 0 again, or in this case, creating a whole other variable called j and putting it at 0. That was the only problem, and now it works. When you go back up here, I is 100, j is 0, 0 is less than 400. So draw a whole nother column, whole nother vertical area of ellipses, and then go forward. Okay, now add 100 to I is 200. Make a whole nother column at x is 200, then 300, 400. And there you go. And now we have a beautiful polka dotted landscape. Anyone confused on how this works? Oh, wait. Ah, yes, Kiao. I didn't know if you pasted your code there. Let me try to see here. Yeah, let me see why your code isn't working here. Oh, I see what's not working. Let me. Okay, I'm going to real quick stop share, then go to another screen. And Kiao, or you have, I see you have multiple screens here. Okay, I can try to pronounce your name. It is Silta? No, Sirata? Sirata? Something like that. I forget what that one is. Okay, here is your code, or actually, I will say this was your code before. Oh, I have copy and pasted your code from the chat into here. Just one thing, your spacing is a little wonky. You kind of want like 2 spaces for nested stuff. So like we have the draw function, then 2 spaces, we have the while loop, and then because the j is inside the while loop, we have another 2 spaces. Same with this one, 2 spaces, ellipse. Ellipse we want 6 spaces because or yeah, here we have like 4 spaces, right? Here we have 6 because it is inside this while loop. Same with that one, and then there we go. Now the main problem here is that there we go. Okay. On line 13, you don't have the left curly brace. That's your only problem. Yeah, just go ahead and add the left curly brace on line 13 right after the while loop. The while loop will, or replit will add the right curly brace. So just go ahead and delete the right one and just keep the left one. Like this. And now when you run it, it should work. Yeah, sometimes you just get, little errors like that. But otherwise, your code looks perfect. So good job. Oh no, wrong screen. There we go. And yeah, just showing with this code here, Kial, your only problem with that, you didn't have that left curly brace. To add that left curly brace and delete the right one that replit will make. All right. And so that's that. That is nested while loops and showing nested while loops by making polka dots. It's okay if you're confused by the whole idea of nested while loops. I suggest messing around with it. It's a very powerful and important tool, but also probably the most confusing part of all of JavaScript. So it's okay if you felt confused or lost. That's a good thing. It means you're learning. If you can go through every class I do completely understanding everything, then you haven't learned it, I guess I should say. Learning means prevailing over the ignorance of your teacher. Okay. Last thing to do before we end class, I would like to just add a fill to that ellipse. I'm gonna make it red like before. Or you know what? Let's make it. You know what? Let's make it pink. How do I make it pink? Yeah, pink polka dots. Made 250, 0, 250. Is that how you make pink? There we go. It's pink. Let's go. You do fill 250, 0, or 250, comma 0, comma 250. My bad, 255, comma 0, 255. And now we have pink polka dots. Nice. Or whatever color you want. And we can easily add more polka dots or do less polka dots just by changing this number here. Like if I made the J 10, let's not make it 10, let's make it 50. And I tried that. I have a lot more polka dots in columns here. I can also change this I to 50. And now I just have a lot of polka dots across the whole screen. And this is gonna look horrible, but if I did make it them both 10, here's what I get. Oh. What? Oh, there we go. Okay, it's gonna look horrible. There we go. That looks disgusting. Let's go back to 100. That actually looks
like
good.
Fingernails.
Oh, yeah. I do not like that at all. There we go. Looks so much nicer at 100. And if I made it 200, we would space that even more. There we go. All right, yeah. Go ahead, and that will be officially the end of class. Good job, everyone. If you got to work, give yourself a high five. If you're having trouble, go ahead and you can reach out to me on Facebook or Discord, or pipe up now. If you are not able to do it, just type it. It doesn't work in chat. I can help you right away. But otherwise, that'll be the end of class. Good job, everyone. And I'll see you same time next week. For homework, just either post it on the Facebook or try to you can fiddle with it a bit, if you want, maybe you can do rects instead of ellipses, get a bunch of squares. That's kind of neat. That's kind of neat looking. You notice if you do rects, you get a bit of a different pattern, because unlike a circle, the rect is started from its top left corner. So 0, 0, this is the first rect. So the other rects are being drawn, but you can't see them. So you're gonna need to maybe change this to I guess you could change this one to 50 and I know. Mess around with it, try different shapes, try maybe multiple shapes. Or you can even try making the other two also INJ. That could be cool. It'd be weird, but let me see what it looked like. That's weird. Um, and mess around, try different things, and then when you have something that looks kind of weird or neat, post it on Facebook and for everyone to see. And with that, I'll see you next week. Goodbye.
See ya.
See you.
Bye.